All right, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to all those joining us from different parts of the world. Hello and welcome to PCloudy's webinar on accelerating app quality through automation, AI, and more. My name is Dinakar, and I'll be the host for today. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few housekeeping rules. If you've noticed, your line is currently muted. However, you can submit your questions during the webinar through the chat option that's available. We will answer your questions as part of the Q&A section at the end of the webinar. Please do note that this webinar is being recorded, and we will send out the link of the recording to share with your colleagues later. With that said, let me introduce the speaker for today, Shoaib Ahmed. Shoaib is a manager pre-sales at PCloudy. He has around 10 plus years of experience in the IT industry. Prior to his role at PCloudy, he has worked with Micro Focus as a pre-sales consultant for application delivery management portfolio, which is catering to technologies such as DevOps, automation, performance, cloud, and mobility. Without further ado, let me hand it over to our speaker, Shoaib Ahmed.
All right, thank you so much, Dinakar, for the warm welcome and giving the introduction. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. We are back again with a next subject, which is on the focus more around the automation, AI, and more. All right, so without any further delay, let me just take you through a quick agenda here. So we will look at some of the, what are the different techniques for the faster app testing that is currently required in today's, digital world. And then we'll also touch base around the different accelerating testing through the test automation, how the testing is accelerated through various different approaches from test automation to different techniques that are adopted. And we will also look into the RPA and also what is the role of AI and ML in today's testing world. And we'll also quickly have a look at the best practices in our test automation session, and then followed by the live demo. And then we'll take up the Q&A part. And in case if you guys have any queries in between, so please feel free to submit your questions on the chat. All right, so let's get started. So just to give a quick overview on what PCloudy is. So PCloudy is basically, it's a comprehensive solution, which is basically it's a continuous cloud testing platform, which provides real devices across Android and iOS, the iOS platform, and also on the browser sites where you can test all your real websites on different real machines, be it Windows and Mac machines with different combinations of different browsers. Right, so PCloudy is basically it's a single stop shop for all your mobile testing and also web application testing needs. So as you can see, there are 5 to 6 different segments that we cater our support, and we are pretty much focusing around these different segments. We'll look into this one by one. I'll just quickly briefly discuss about this. So when we talk about device lab, we provide a infrastructure lab wherein we host mobile devices across different data centers in India, US, and also in Singapore, which provides you access to the platform, right? You can connect to the platform from anywhere, anytime, and test your mobile-based applications over the cloud platform. Again, there are various different offerings. Public cloud, basically it's a shareable platform. And when we talk about private and on-premise, so these are enterprises offering for most of the enterprise customers. So that's a dedicated cloud, right? So from the device cloud perspective, so these are the dedicated device farms. And when it comes to the browser lab, we are focusing more around testing the mobile, testing the web applications on the real desktop-based applications, be it on real Windows or even on Mac machines, different browser combinations. So basically it's a single shop for all your mobile and also web application testing needs. And when we talk about rapid automation, it's more towards the creation of the scripts. So we are talking about we have one more internal tool which is called as an OpKey, which is basically it's a codeless form of automation tool. So anyone can write your scripts without having any programming skill sets, right? You just have to record and playback. So there's a recorder which records as you record, the entire steps gets recorded in simple plain English language, and the same script can be executed on different mobile devices. So pcloud is tightly integrated with OpKey. So that's about Rapid automation, and also we do integrate with all the leading different automation solutions like APM, Espresso, XUI test, and so on. And when it comes to execution of the automation at scale, so the device lab can be, the automation scripts can be executed on different number of devices at the same time. So the scaling is quite comprehensive. You can execute the same script on multiple devices at the same time on different number of n number of devices. There's no theoretically, there's no practical. Theoretically, there is no access limit on executing the scripts on multiple devices. So automation is the key here, which brings in the test execution time, to a very quick thing. And when we talk about test analytics, we do provide a comprehensive test reports which helps you identify all your test findings that you have made from the performance logs, the performance metrics, different logs, screenshots, the session video, and so on. So which will help you analyze the findings of your test bed for manual sessions or automation sessions. And we also have a newly built progressive report which talks about detailed reporting, and it also provides you live analytics while your execution is going on. So we'll talk more about that. I'll just quickly run through in the demo. And also our tool is DevOps ready. So when we say DevOps ready, pcloud can be integrated with different CI servers, be it Jenkins, SameCity, Bamboo, Azure DevOps, and so on. So it's pretty straightforward. So net overall, these are the 6 pillars, or you can say 6 pillars, where our testing portfolio is pretty much focused on. And when we talk about some of the industry regulated industry that we have been highlighted with, one such is through Gartner, where we have been recognized, for the pcloud was listed in the example of technology in the Gartner 2020 report on how to build an effective remote testing competency. And not just that, we also been recognized with other analytics analysis, right, G2 crowd as well. So let's focus and understand what is the need for faster application testing techniques, and we'll look into it, right? So testing is accelerating at a rapid pace, and also it is with helping us with releasing our updates from months to days and from days to few hours, right? So so it is very key, where we focus our testing from the traditional approach to the newly adopted approach, and while testing at speed is the key, so is the quality at speed as well. So speed has become synonymous with quality and agility. And innovation is no more a highlight you can be proud about, unless you have the faster more advantage. So with tons of brains working in R&D, the need to bring something new is more the mantra, right? So rather, bringing something new before somebody else does have become a priority now. If you don't implement continuous testing into the app development lifecycle, there are high chances that someone else will get ahead of you and release the product better than you, or faster, right? So it's very important to have the speed at which we evolve as the technology is evolving. And there's no room for error, right? As the accuracy is the key. So with limited room for human error, and to produce a quality releases that are error free, it is very vital to use the technologies like automations, AI, ML, etc. So that fasten the test and the release cycles. And not just that, but it is also more important to ensure that the accuracy with which the apps are being developed is another important aspect in which the real aim of the faster app testing techniques. So these are the various different techniques for the faster application that are seen. And let's talk about the what is RPA is all about. So robotic process automation, how it can help in the app testing. So when we talk about RP is nothing but it's a robotic process automation. So and it's shortly called as RPA. So this is the name suggests is widely used for app testing techniques that leverages the power of bots to automate any human efforts, right? So in order to accelerate any redundancy tasks. So if there are any redundancy tasks that keeps on repeating again and again, so we can easily automate this by with the help of using the bots, right? So these bots can be very handful, which will help reduce the human efforts in terms of the automating the scripts. And these software bots can perform various human actions, right, such as completing the keystrokes, or even maybe navigating into the systems, or even identifying and extracting the data, and executing on a wide range of different defined actions. So that is required. So you may also define action certain things. You may make learn the bot how to perform the actions. Right, so there are various different techniques. Again, we will look into detail how you can train the bot. So of course, bot cannot replace a human, right? But of course, there are some techniques which can be taught to the bot so that the bot performs the testing as if a human is doing the test. So that's something which is really important. And if you talk about a quick example, one such feature P-Cloudy comes up with the certify bot test, right? Which basically it's an autonomous form of testing, which uses the different bots, and it has a quick test of your application even before you release to the production. So we will talk more about certified, but I'll quickly show the demo as well how the certified. And next, let's talk about how the accelerating the testing through the different automation processes. So some of the key aspects of enabling the test automation would be to looking at the our app development and also the testing workflow, which is very important. And next, we identify the task which are needs to be automated. Identify how many number of test cases are required, what are the test cases and the test scripts that you have to design around. So which is very important. So the next step is to identify the tasks which are required to automate, and then probably analyze the tools and frameworks, right? So that would suit your automation testing needs. So which are very important. So you can question at this point, why, what do I need to automate? And what is my current comfort with the language of automate that I need to automate in. And also you can rely on whether if it's an open source versus commercial tools, right? And also understand the purpose, which is very important. What is the purpose of automation, right? As you said, what and why is very important, right? Without the purpose, it doesn't make sense to evaluate any automation tool. So it's very important that you focus more around the purpose of automation while you're exploring any automation framework or tools. And then also the comfort, which is very important, right? Unless you are comfortable with the framework or the technology that you are going to adopt, it would become really difficult without having any sufficient resources or the skill sets that you need. So it's very important, to choose the right framework or the automation tool which you are in comfort. And then very important, as I said, when you are comparing with open source and commercial tools, so it's very important you have to consider the budget, right? So without a budget, I think things will not fly out. So having the understanding about the budget, and also whether you're focusing more around open source tools or automation to, or the commercial tools, you can pretty much focus your automation in that direction. So these are some of the important steps that you have to consider before accelerating into the automation. And then of course there's a testing grid that you have to look for. And also one important thing that have to consider is the automation maintenance, right? So it's very important. So though you may be able to create the scripts, but what about the maintenance part? What about once your application gets upgraded, how are you going to maintain those scripts? So that's very important. So you have to consider all these points, and then you have to look for the automation tool which categorizes and focuses around these. All right, so now let's talk about the role of AI and ML in today's app testing. Right, so when we talk about AI is nothing but artificial intelligence, and ML is machine learning. So we'll focus what are their roles in detail. We'll try and understand. All right. So the use of AI in the mobile testing sphere is still in its infancy, because the level of autonomy is much lower than more evolved areas. So such as it could be the image recognition, the natural language processing, or even the voice assistant control. So however, we are already seeing the mobile testing tools have started adopting AI, right, with the advancement of technology, and it's very important to have AI in place, and which makes it things easier for creation of the scripts or even for the simple test analytics, and also which also reduces the cost and maintenance. Now when we talk about the elements versus locators, so the traditional testing tools, they use selectors, right? When we talk, selectors are nothing but these are the DOM elements of IDs, different DOM element IDs, so determine whether the elements to interact with. But these selectors are very fragile, so as they can be changed as the application code evolves. So when this happens, your test will fail, right, and increasing your maintenance burden as well. So that's the traditional thing that we use when we talk about the selectors which adopted the DOM element IDs. Now, with the current AI powered mobile testing tools like pcloudy, we have visual locators, right? So that eliminate the need of these fragile selectors and provide a more robust way of targeting elements, right? So instead of hard coded selectors, so visual selectors, so basically they identify the elements based on their virtual appearance. And this way, even if the selectors for elements change, your test will still work, right? So that's that's something where we are very much focused on the AI, which can help. And so there are some many testing tools already in the market as well, which are adopted the use of MI and Emerald. Now, when we talk about the self-healing properties, right? So it's also very important to understand, right? So if you talk about in general, so one of the major frustration associated with the test automation is the false positive. Now, what is false positive? False positive. So when a test case fails, right, but there is no bug, and the functionality that's tested is actually working correctly, right? So that's false positive. So and these false positive makes an automation test less reliable, so to contribute and hence contribute to the maintenance cost, and may consume a lot of the QA user, the QA or the testers time chasing down the bug that doesn't even exist, right? So that's false positive. Now so because of the traditional mobile testing tools that depend on underlying application structure or even model to test the functionality, false positives are likely to occur frequently as the structure changes, maybe due to the flaky of elements or identifiers, or even new OS versions as when we have. So again, thanks to AI, some again mobile testing tools now possesses self-healing abilities, right? So these tools, including pcloudy, can automatically identify the change made to an element locator, which can be an ID or a screen flow that was added in between and predefined test automation steps, and quickly fix them on a fly, right? Or even alert or also suggest a quick fix to the developers. So this way, the test runs more smoothly and requires very less intervention from your developers, from the developers, or even the testers. So that's self-healing properties, right? So where we are very much towards focusing around self-explaining when we talk about one from P2D standpoint, and we are going to support this very soon. And also, while we talk, so while the implementation of self-healing, as I said, is still limited on the mobile testing tools, so there are some tools which are adopted self-healing, and as I said, along with the pcloudy, very soon we are going to launch this, which can overcome all the false positives. And when we talk about visual validation, right? So what is visual validation? So visual testing is basically it's a process of evaluating the visual interface of an application against the result expected by design. In order to detect the inconsistency in appearance, right? Maybe visual bugs before they get into the production. So it answers questions like: is an element the right color or in the right position? Correct? Are there any overlapping elements? This is very important type of testing because visual bugs occur more frequently than we want to admit. right? Even for companies like big companies like Amazon, for Google, and so on and so on. So again, when we just go back to the traditional approaches of using the testing tools, they were still using underlying structure of an application's DOM, right? So to determine the status and also the presence of visual elements. So to test visual interfaces this way, so you would have to write thousands of sessions of code, right, to cater to the different variations. Or maybe it could be OS, browser, screen orientation, screen sizes, or even font size. So this method is highly insufficient, right, and it's brittle, and it just contributes to the maintenance burden. So again, modern AI-enabled testing tools uses the visual validation, which quickly identifies or compares the images, right, with the old image to the new. If there is a new altogether a new release, and you are just comparing it with your earlier release, it just quickly does. The tool does it for you, right? You don't have to worry much about it. So we have already launched visual support for through an automation from our automation standpoint. So you have to just add certain piece of code within your automation and add the existing image that that needs to be compared with the new image that is getting generated. So yeah, so that's pretty much from the visual validation side. And of course, the last one is the scriptless or codeless automation, right? Which is again, as we speak about one of our tool called Opkey, which is basically it's a codeless automation tool. So anyone can write the scripts without having any programming skills. It has a record and playback. So while you record, the entire steps gets recorded in simple plain English language, and you just have to integrate this with the cloud platform like pCloudy, right? So where you can integrate and then quickly execute it. So again, the maintenance of the scripts are very less here, and also the resources that you would need, right? So it's very familiar to anyone. Anyone can create. They need not be from a technical background. Just have some basic knowledge, and you are good to go with the tool. So these are some of the again important roles of AI and ML, right? In terms of AI and ML in the app testing. Now, when we talk about certain advantages of it, so we have seen a lot of issues how AI can help. But let's talk about some of the advantages which through the use of AI and ML. So what it does is the accuracy improves a lot, right? The accuracy of identifying the defects is quite higher here, right? It gets drastically improved. And with enhanced efficiency, when we talk about efficiency again, right? So the efficiency of testing goes really high, and even so identifying the defects with the use of AI and ML. So these technologies play a quite important role in today's digital transformation. And also when you talk about the coverage of the tests, you can cover a wide range to a wider test coverage. You can cover each and every single piece of scenario that you want to test with, right? Because uh, with the use of these technologies, the testing times are drastically reducing. So you can focus more on the various different scenarios that may occur, and eventually, the application can be a bug free even before you reach to the production. And yeah, as I said, it pretty much identifies the defects more quickly, so that help you quickly analyze and do a quick fix. And yeah, around the test coverage, and of course, eventually the productivity will be increased. And of course, at the last, every organization want to go towards the profitability. So a lot of time is saved, and so the profits will certainly increase, right? So these are some of the advantages of AI, ML, and also the test automation in the app testing world. So now let's quickly talk about the some of the a quick infrastructure from the pCloudy standpoint, what pCloudy has to offer it, right? So So when you talk about the infrastructure, we talk about the device lab, the browser lab, and the wearables. So we are pretty much here. We are supporting device lab, browser lab, and also we are moving very close to the wearables, where we have support for different smartwatches, or it can be a different IoT devices. Right. So we provide a complete cloud infrastructure to perform the testing on real browsers as well as on the devices. So continuous testing is very key, right, to test and release the quality app and also updates of the faster. So various techniques such as rapid automations, DevOps, test analytics, automation also plays a vital role in enabling the continuous testing. Right. So these are also the key pillars that our platform is built on to enable the continuous testing of our mobile and web apps. And also, the cloud-based remote testing platform would entitle not just to cover the varied devices, but also test the varied style of interaction that one would perform on the device. Right. So we have kept these interactions in mind and provided the ability to test your apps on real devices through touch or to gesture or even through voice commands. Right. So this would help enable you to get thorough testing of your apps done without any limitations remotely, right? So that's from the P20 standpoint. And now we can quickly have a look at a live demo. So I'll just quickly switch to the demo. Let me just go to the portal. All right, so device.pcloud.com is the public cloud URL. As I said, we have three different offerings: public, private, on-premise. So public cloud is basically it's a shareable platform. So also the users across the globe will have connectivity to the cloud. So it's based on need basis. It's a pay-as-you-go model. So if you are looking to test your applications on wide variety of different devices, different combinations, public cloud is the right fit. But otherwise, on the enterprise sides, if you are focusing more around automations, continuous testing, right, with the use of DevOps, and then private cloud and on-premise is the right fitment there. So when we talk more about private and on-premise, again, it depends on what kind of offerings that is required. Offering a private cloud is managed by pCloud. The entire setup is hosted in the pCloud data center, and all the devices for the devices of your choice will be managed by us. So the entire infrastructure has been managed by us. It's just you come to the platform and test your application as and when you require, right? So that's private cloud. On the other side, on-premise is where the complete cloud is hosted behind your corporate firewall. If there is a specific need, or if you want to have a compliance followed with your industry, with your organization's compliance, security and compliance, and for some scenarios where you need to test have the platform within your premise, so then we have this option, we have this offering as well, where we can provide you the entire software and hardware, so it can be hosted behind your phone. So when it comes to features, capabilities, UI, it pretty much remains the same. So let's take a look at a quick on the public cloud. So device.pcloud.com is the URL where I can sign in. You can also log in with your Google or even with the SSO. So let me just quickly sign in. All right. So this is a quick landing page. So we have revamped our new UI, and with the tons of feedback that we have received from our customers, various different customers, we focus more around the user experience. So user experience is the key for us, right? Which helps the user to test their applications flawlessly without having any trouble in accessing the platform and accessing the features. So considering all the feedbacks that we have received, we have revamped, and we have so far received fabulous feedbacks around different communities from different user sections. Right. So it's a landing page. It's a quick one-stop shop for all your testing needs. So you can see there's a devices section, browser sections, and certify and follow me. And also when it comes to automation, various different tools of automations that we support, and some on the dashboard side as well. On the right hand side, there are some options where you can quickly get into for more details and understand about the reporting structure that we provide, the dashboards. My data is generally cloud location, where you upload all your APKs and IPA file, and then some integration aspects. So if you are using Jira for your test defect management. Then we have integration quickly, so you can get into the integration part, check the steps how to integrate it, and also we have a community where you can quickly get all your queries answered there. If you have any specific questions around testing, you can also contribute there. So that's it, a community that we have. And into the devices section, as I said, so we support different section of say different platforms from both Android as well as iOS. So these are the devices in real time. So the devices that you see here are real devices. So we do not support simulators or emulators. So depending upon your requirement, you can quickly scroll down, look for the availability of a device, and just acquire. There are filter options which can quickly help you filter based on operating system, whether if it's an Android, any specific version that you're looking at. So we have all the different versions of Android, starting from 5 to 13 different versions of iOS, different OEMs. We support all the leading manufacturers that are available. So one can quickly filter different OEMs, different screen sizes. There are different screen sizes that are available. We support different smartphones, tablets, different network carriers. If you're looking to test your application with SIM based, then we have support for all the leading network carriers for India and also in US locations. So as I said, so we have support for we have a data center spread across different locations. In India, we have in a couple of locations, one in Bangalore and one in Mumbai, and one in US and also in Singapore. All right, so that's how you use these options. And so, yeah, acquiring the device is very straightforward. You just have to come here, and maybe if you want to see what is the hardware and the software configuration, you can click on more details, and then you simply acquire the device. Just click on connect, the device will get acquired, and you can get started with your functional testing. So once the device is acquired, you install the app, and you can get started. Again, as you see, the UI has been further revamped, considering the feedbacks. So yeah, these are some customizable panels on the right hand side that you see. You can keep the ones which you really need it, otherwise you can just close, and so that you can focus more around the application testing, right? So there are various features on the left hand side, which you can use based on your need. I'll just try to run few. We are more focused around the AI, ML, and the other automation techniques. But however, I'll just quickly showcase. So you can get started by installing your app. If your application is in the Play Store, you can get it in the Play Store. Download the app from the production, and you can install it. Otherwise, if it is in the form of APKs and IPA, you can just simply go to install button here, and see the apps which you have already uploaded to the drive, right? So you remember my data. My data is a section where you upload all your APKs and IPA from your local drive. So you can just pull in your application from your local drive, and then you can simply install it. And we do also have integration with Microsoft App Center. You can simply integrate by entering your App Center tokens. Once you have provided your details, you'll fetch all the apps from your App Center. So for now, let me just quickly install any app. Just click on install, the application gets installed. Yeah, as you can see now, the application has been installed. So as a functional test engineer, if you want to monitor the logs, I can get on the logs here, enable the logs. So these are the color coded logs which you are receiving directly from the device. You can stack trace, follow your test flow, and also if the application is getting crashed in between, we will provide you separate crash pointers which helps you identify at which specific point your application is getting crashed. Analysis, there's more from performance metric standpoint. If you want to analyze how intensive is your app in terms of consuming the CPU, memory, battery, and the right. So there's some important vitals, so which help you analyze understand the performance bottlenecks. So to use this feature, you may simply go to analyze and choose the application which you want to monitor. Since I have installed this particular sample app, I can simply select. So once I select, I'll start getting all the performance vitals here, right? So as you can see, this is the live metrics. As in when you perform the actions, you can pretty much see the deviations happening around on the memory consumption usage. Similarly, there is a CPU chart and network chart, and along that battery capacity, which talks about battery consumption at the device level, app level. So all these performance metrics are provided while you test your app, which further add value to your existing functional testing. And these graphs are also captured in the report section for you to analyze in the later stages. Right? So that's about these analysis. And some other features, few are self-explanatory. You may reboot the device at any given point. Change the language of the application, provided your app is supported. You can simply switch to different languages which your app is supporting, so that you need not get into the device settings to change the language. Location simulation, again, if there is any application which is a location specific app and you want to change the location, mock the location from different part of the world, you can simply mark it, just click on the location. So this their device is hosted in Mumbai, maybe I want to just check for different locations, just click on the location, the corresponding lat long information will be captured. On clicking on set, this will be given to the device at the API level. So yeah, as you can see, the location mock location is on. So if I try to detect the location from the app will give me the location which we have set, and this will start behaving as if the device is in that location. Wi-Fi, you can toggle the Wi-Fi at any point. You can switch off, switch on. So if you want to test it in the offline mode, ADB commands, again, mostly used by the developers. You can execute different ADB commands that we are supporting. So for example, ADB devices, you can simply execute and get the output instantly. Chrome inspect the mobile application. So if you have a mobile-based web application and you want to inspect the objects and elements, and also understand the network calls, be it HTTP requests, HTTP responses, you can always use Chrome debugger. Similarly, we have Safari debugger for iOS. There's web URL, which can help you test all your mobile-based web applications across different browsers. So we have support for all the different browsers versions, starting from Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Opera, and so on. You just enter the URL, select the browser of your choice, and enter. So this will help you test the compatibility of your application with the different browsers. So by default, every device comes with a default browser, right? And it would be in the latest version. So if you want to test it on different version, N-1, N-2, N-3, and so on. So we do provide such version if there are availability. And if there are any internal applications, when I say internal, intranet based applications, private servers, and you want to test it, so we have a feature called Windnet, where you can learn more about this, understand what there's a small utility. Basically, you have to install it on your local machine, and then once you install it, configure, and then you enable the Windnet. So once you enable, basically the requests and the responses will be through a tunnel. Basically, a tunnel would be created, and all the requests and the responses will be through that, and you should be able to access all your internal apps. So that's about Wildnet. You may capture screenshots while you are testing if you have found any defects and if you like to grab them. So you can further edit, delete, and download. To edit further, you can simply click on edit option. Maybe if you want to highlight any specific issues, you can pretty much do that. Otherwise, you can simply keep it as it is. Screen rotation can also be done. You just have to click on rotate screen. The screen will be rotated, provided your app is supported. Yeah, so sorry, this is the how you edit the image. Any specific issues, you can right click on that. So that's how you rotate the screen, and zoom in and zoom out functionality for you to again zoom in if there is any UI changes, right? UI quality changes on your app. You can pretty much zoom in and zoom out. So yeah, so these are some of the important value-added features that I have taken you through. I hope this was insightful. Uh, insightful. If I'll just quickly jump around the other important features, right, that PQD brings in when we talk about the certifier. Right, so that's is something which we can look forward. So let me just release the device. So while you release, you would have noticed the pop-up which says your data will be cleaned up. So what we do is we uninstall the app, clear cache cookies, and also power cycle the device. When you connect to the next time to the same device, the device will be in its original state. Right, so this is more from security and compliance. So make sure whatever apps that you test on our platform are absolutely safe. So let me just quickly show the report even before I get into the certifier section, right? So you can navigate into the all report section where you can view your session report. So every device that you connect, right, will be considered as a session, and reports will be provided for the device that you have connected. So in the all report section, you'll start seeing all the reports that you have carried out. So this was my session. You can further rename this session in the while you were connected to the device, and you can further deep dive and understand the report. So that's how the report looks like. Quick overview of your session details, the configuration of your device, and then all the key performance parameters like, as I said, battery charge, which talks about battery consumption, level at the device level, app level, memory chart, which talks about memory consumption of an app for the entire test. You can monitor the spikes at any given point. CPU chart, similarly, which talks about CPU consumption at the app level, system level, and user level. Network chart, if there is any snapshots. So whatever snapshots that you have captured are available here. And then the logs, right? So the entire session logs has been captured. which you can download it and you can analyze. And also these are the videos. So the entire session has been recorded in the form of video, which can help you reproduce the issue in case if there is any specific need. So that's how the report looks like. And of course, these reports are shareable. You may simply click on copy report link gets created, and you may share it among your team members. So they need not be pCloud user. Anyone who has the link will be able to access the report. So this is made you to so that the users can access without any issues. All right, so that's pretty much from the accessing the devices, how you access. Now let's try and focus around the other features, right? We talk about the robotic process automation (RPA), right? So any application that you have that you need to do a quick test on the application even before release to the production, maybe a quick sanity test, right? And you want to perform on different number of devices at the same time. So we have a autonomous testing which is called as Certifier, wherein you just have to upload the app to the cloud and rest the bot will take care, right? So there are two different bots. So I'll talk about that. So it's very straightforward when you look at the process. You first have to select the application which you want to test through the app bots, provide some meaningful name to your test, and then select the location on which data center would you like to test it, right? Various different data centers we have. And then you also can select the category of the application. So this is where the difference comes in here, right? So you can actually train the bot. We are selecting a category, to which category your application belongs to. So there are various different, again, you can select the category of it, and then you provide any, if there is any data that you need to input, right? For example, you may have a username and password on your launch page of an app, right? So you may just enter these values so that the bot takes these values and then enters into your application. Or instead of username, if it is email ID, you can rename this, right? So you can rename this emails labels easily, so that you can quickly provide, enter the data, right? And then just run, right? So once you run, what happens is, from the Android standpoint, the bot picks up 10 different random devices. So you don't have control over selecting the devices here. The bot just does it. So from the available list of pool of devices, the bot picks up 10 random devices from Android, and it performs test. So there are two different bots. As I said, one performs the crash test and the other bot performs the exploratory test. So both these bots performs simultaneously these two different actions, and provides you the report accordingly. So let me show you a sample report how the bot report looks like, right? So once the execution is completed, once the bot certifier session is run, you will see the certifier report, right? So this is where you get to see all the details, when was this executed, started, total duration, and then based on the industry standards, right? So all the CPU, memory, battery, network. So we are providing a rating, right, based on the industry standards again. Right? You can see these ratings. You can try and understand whether if the memory's consumption is more of your app on this particular device, or the CPU, or even the battery, and it gives you a quick performance scores as well, right? For all the 10 different devices that the bot has performed the test. So which gives you basically better insights about the performance aspects of your application on these different devices. And on the right hand side, you see the application info. All right, so as I said, this is a quick summary. There are two different bots. One bot does the crash test, which basically installs the app on 10 different random devices, perform some monkey test quickly on the device, clicks here and there and see if the app is getting crashed, and also it captures the screenshots for every action that it does, right? And yeah, here you see it captures all the performance metrics along with different parameters like CPU, memory, network, and you can see the snapshots as well. Every action the bot is performing, it also if there are any logs, right? If there is any crash test installation logs, you can always see, and also the entire scenario, right? Installation, I mean, how much time it's. So all these are pretty widely. That's about crash test. Now, but this is very important. When we talk about exploratory bot, this is exactly like how your human does a testing, right? So you're basically training a bot here. You are providing the application category, and then also you're saying that there is some data that needs to be input, right? It could be in the form of username or password and so on. So though you cannot have complete control again, but to an extent you can make the bot learn about the scenarios, right? And you can simply perform the test. Again, the bot selects 10 different random devices and it installs the app on all the 10 devices, and it does based on the criteria, right? So based on the intelligence of the bot that is provided and also the application category you selected, the bot logs in into the application if you have provided any data, and then it tries to navigate to a different part of the screen and tries to capture in every at every screen level, right? You can see those snapshots again here, and also relevant data like battery charge, memory charge, what was the memory consumption of an application. So all these vital data are captured again, right? So which helps you analyze in the later stages. So these are some snapshots, and then followed by if there are any specific logs, you can just further get those logs as well. So yeah, so that's pretty much from the certifier session, a very useful feature from from autonomous bot testing standpoint, which can help you quickly do a sanity test even before you release your app to the production, right? So that's about bot testing. So we urge you give it a try, and test some scenarios by using bot, right, which can help reduce your automation time. So that's from the bot standpoint. And I have a separate webinar conducted on the visual validation, right, from pcloudy. So there are certain scripts commands that needs to be added within the code for validating the scripts. So that is through the automation point, where which can quickly identify the difference in image and give you the difference image quickly, which will help you understand if there are any application changes. So this is again through the help of AI and ML, right? The validation. So if there are any specific queries, I mean, you can always visit the webinar in the webinar sections about the visual validation. Right, for just for the consideration of the time, I would like to maybe quickly wind up. Maybe if there are any questions, I can just take those and conclude the webinar for today. So with that, I'll quickly open up for the Q&A. If there are any specific questions, you can please go ahead and ask your queries. All right, just try to answer the questions. I have received few. I'll just take one by one. So there is a query from Ravi who says about the bot testing. Can I test my iOS app through your certifier? Okay, thank you so much, Ravi, for your question. So at this point, the certifier bot is supported for the Android, right? Not for the Android, not for the iOS. But yes, very soon we will have support for iOS as well. The R&D is currently on, and we may soon support iOS as well. So for now, the supported platform is Android, where you can quickly do a test through the bot. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. And yeah, a few more questions. Uh, let me just try to pick this. Okay. So one more question from Varun. It talks about image injection feature. Does pCloud support in image injection? If yes, um, how that feature works and what about automation? Okay, very good question. Though this is not it's not related for this webinar, but however, I'll try to answer your query. Yes, certainly we do support image injection both through manual and as well as automation. So there are certain APIs which are created. Again, we have some sample image creation features that are uploaded. You can always visit them and just try and understand. So there are separate documentation links. Maybe I can share you one-on-one with you, and you can just see how the image injection works. Yeah, but yeah, to answer to your question, both manual and as well as automations is supported. Yeah, thanks for your question. Okay, so there is one more question from Imran. He says, you mentioned about visual validation. Um, so, what are those commands which are required to add in the existing script? Are these just some line of code, or is something extra additional feature capabilities are required? All right, very important, very good question. Thanks for posting that. So as I said, so visual validation is very key, very important nowadays. So when we say the visual validation supports, we're basically talking about the visual validation of the images that it compares from the application to application. Right, you might have a executed one script and you may have for your earlier applications. And once you have an upgrade of your app and you wanted to see what is the difference, right? So you cannot do it manually, right? Of course, it takes a lot of time. So to execute through automation, we have certain piece of a code that has to be implemented within a APM script. It's very small piece of a code, and where you provide the base image details. When you say base image, it's your old application, the earlier application, right? And then you are actually trying to compare it with the new one. So you capture the screens at every step, and that basically compares with the base image, and it gives you the differential image, right? So that will quickly help resolve your visual validation issues if there are any. So it's just piece of a code. So I can share you the link of visual validation, how the vision. So again, there are various different ways. One is you can do it through the image comparison. You can also get the coordinates of the app. You can also identify the text based on the text. So there are various different methods, techniques within visual validation. Yeah. So that's, and very soon we are going also to support the manual visual validation support, right? That's in the roadmap for us, and so once we will have, we will update all the users accordingly. I hope that answers your question. All right, with that, I would like to conclude. Okay, maybe few points on quality analysis and manufacturing. All right, there's one question from Simran Kaur. All right, so though this does not focus more around this subject that we are discussing today, but yeah, um, for when we talk about in the manufacturing segment, it is completely it's altogether a different thing, right? Of course, quality means mm, where you ensure the product readiness, yeah, right? It's up to the standard where it meets. Right? The definition will still stay standard, be it for manufacturing or be it for IT industries, right? For their application testing, but the processes are different, right? So while you evaluate, while you do a test for the manufacturing, the process could be completely different when it comes to testing your app quality, for the mobile applications or for any apps. Right. So in general, I would like to say quality is very important, and so the analysis of the apps. So that's where we have various different techniques in from IT standpoint. I may not be able to answer on the manufacturing as I'm not expertise on that, but yeah, from the mobile application standpoint, the various different topics that we discussed AI, ML, visual validation processes, the automation techniques, right? So these are some of the important that help accelerate and achieve all the different parameters, not just quality but also speed and also the rate at which the application is getting released, right? Yeah. So yeah, so some light on the quality that I would want to put this here. I hope that answers your question. All right, I think with that we can conclude the webinar. So thank you so much for your time and taking time to listen to this webinar. I hope this was very useful and gave some insights about the mobile application and the automation techniques that we are using in today's digital world. So we look forward to meet you again sometime with some new latest topics about the technology of mobile testing space. So do visit us at our website pclody.com, where you can find more insights about our product. Right, you can also evaluate, and if there are any further queries, you can please reach on to our team, right, where we can help you. So with that, I'd like to conclude. Thank you so much for your time again. Have a good day.